I wanted to focus on instead in this video that I just started refactoring basically all of the test code that I had to kind of play with the API, and I started forming it into what I will probably end up releasing as an open source library for interacting with OpenAI, um, their public API that they have. So what we can start looking at here, what that I have on screen, is this key, which I'm going to have to delete after the video. But this is sort of the skeleton that I had before for kind of my use case where I wanted to upload some training data. It's not really important because this is the part that's very specific to my use case. What is kind of neat, though, and the focus that I want to have today is that I have this OpenAI folder here, which is where I've actually started building out the API that I plan on releasing. So um, I guess where we should start is maybe looking at some of the use case here. So let me just blow away some of this code off the screen. But what we would do is get a couple of factories put together, and I'll probably release an autofac package as well, because in all of my use cases, I just want things set up through autofac and never have to actually type anything like this. So I will likely put these two factories behind AutoFac, and then basically you'll just be able to resolve the interface for this API client factory. So that will come. You'll probably still have to create a configuration. I don't know what other parameters we might need, but to start, just your API key is so far all that I've kind of seen is necessary. So it should be pretty easy to instantiate. And then what I will have is this type of syntax here, where you can see like we have this client and then files right after it will um, correlate to the documentation that OpenAI has. So in particular, OpenAI has all of their sections broken out um, into separate topics, and it seemed like a really intuitive way to navigate. So I will likely continue to do that. So um, what we will have is access to something like files, for example, and then I'm going and implementing all of the API calls that their files API has. So for example, I'm going to jump over right into the implementation of list all. Let me go ahead and just collapse this so we can kind of see where we're at. Um, if you're looking at the namespaces and stuff, no, I'm not going to release it under Lorebot. I'll come up with something and publish the package, but this is just because of where things are right now. And it looks like the hacky refactoring I've done so far hasn't even updated any of the namespaces for the folder. So if you're looking at that, don't worry, I'll have it fixed up and it'll be pretty. So this files API client, though, if we look at the public methods that we have on here, so I'm just going to highlight quickly these ones. That's basically what they have published on their spec, and I'm going to go implement these such that they're a little bit more rich than what I was showing in my previous video. So in the previous video, I was basically saying like, look, for example, I want to upload a file, and when I do that, I only care about the ID, like nothing else for now. I just want to see if it works. But I'm actually going to go and build out basically having full type resolution so that we can deserialize the responses and then have a lot more robust information coming back. So for example, when you call this upload async method, I'm just going to go show you where I'm calling it from, right? So um, I'm uploading this test underscore prepared JSON L file. And if we look at the upload result, you can see that it is of type file info. So it does actually have more information than just the ID. And sorry, I'm jumping around a little bit here. I'm just going to go to the definition of file info. But you can see I'm using records here. So it'll have an ID. I might do a little bit of renaming because I don't like just seeing things like bytes. Like it's supposed to be like file size or like content size, I guess, but they just have bytes. So far, I'm kind of keeping it mapped. Um, I did make an exception here for even like they have a created at timestamp, and it's it's an epoch number, so I've basically just gone and converted it to a date time and indicated that it's UTC. So I might do a little bit of tweaking just to make it read a little bit better in my opinion. But I do plan on putting in like full type resolution so that there's a lot more info than what I originally put in my last video, where it was just like grabbing the most simple stuff. I haven't looked into all of the different errors and things that can come back, so I'm probably going to have to do a bunch of revisions, but this is sort of the flow for how it will get used. So, um, with respect to the syntax here, so using basically like these, they're not namespaces, but like these subcomponents of the actual overall client itself, just because, like I said, they did a good job mapping it in their API spec and it felt really good, I thought. So far, I've got files done, and I think fine tunes, but models completions are still, I still have to do a bit of mapping with the types, so it's kind of tedious, but I'll sort that out. And then there's a handful of other things that OpenAI offers as part of their API. And I'll have to follow up with that because I haven't used them and it's a little bit awkward for me to go basically implement them and not really know what they're doing yet. So I'll poke through them, and if it feels like they're pretty straightforward for me to actually try out, then I'll go ahead and add them. If not, it might be something that I have to follow up with later when there's more time. So I think that's mostly it. I just wanted to show that you have like full C# syntax for this kind of stuff, which I'm happy about. We'll probably do an autofac package, like I said, just so you can resolve the interface for this one and then call create with your config, and boom, you have all of the OpenAI API access you could want. So I think that's it. Thanks so much for watching. If you thought this was useful, please give the video a thumbs up. Leave a comment below if you have any thoughts about the different API methods that you'd be interested in using. And of course, if you enjoy the content on the channel, please subscribe. It helps a lot. So thanks.